So the year was 1996, and the battleground was Extreme Championship Wrestling, where extreme was an understatement. Paul Heyman decided to sign the whole effing show, Rob Van Dam, and put him against Axel Rotten for his first match at ECW House Party. RVD beat Axel Rotten, and ECW witnessed the birth of a unique persona, marked by a chilled-out attitude and an unorthodox style. On March 30th, 1996, Van Dam faced Too Cold Scorpio for the World Television Championship, and his first taste of gold was on the line. The match ended in a draw, with Scorpio retaining, but the spark ignited the flame of Van Dam's rising star. The landscape of ECW shifted when Van Dam engaged in a series of matches with his longtime rival, Sabu. From Hostile City Showdown, where Sabu won, to A Matter of Respect, where RVD won, the battles were intense, with victories and defeats shaping Van Dam's trajectory. After the Matter of Respect match, Sabu offered a handshake to RVD, but RVD ignored it and left the ring, turning heel. They'd eventually face each other again to finally settle it at Hardcore Heaven, but Sabu won the match. The intensity reached new heights in a stretcher match, and the Doctor is in another clash to prove who was the superior force. However, a missed plancha to the outside, off the railings and onto the stretcher meant RVD lost once again. Things weren't looking too great for RVD, but at Natural Born Killers, he faced Doug Furness, and he spin-kicked a chair into his face to get the win. After the match, RVD offered a handshake to Doug, and Doug hit him with a clothesline, which started a feud between the two. Post-vanquishing Doug Furness at Natural Born Killers, Van Dam extended the rivalry to include Dan Crawford, and the thirst for competition and gold grew. He lost to Sabu again at Unlucky Lottery, and after that, the two united. The alliance with Sabu bore fruit as they faced Furness and Crawford in a tag team battle at Worlds Collide 2, and another one at High Incident, and Van Dam and Sabu came out on top. The journey through ECW's tag team division brought new challenges, notably in the form of the Eliminators, John Cronus and Perry Saturn. Then, RVD went on to feud with Taz, but lost to him at Holiday Hell by KO. Still in a tag team with Sabu, they went on to continue the feud with the Eliminators for the tag team championships, crossing the line again, and at CyberSlam, but they lost both matches. ECW's first pay-per-view, Barely Legal, marked a pivotal moment in Rob Van Dam's journey. As a last-minute replacement for the injured Chris Candido, Van Dam faced Lance Storm, showcasing his versatility and determination. But the victory wasn't without controversy. Post-match, Van Dam expressed his displeasure for being a backup, and in his own words, for some guy who couldn't even lace his boots. He confronted Paul Heyman, the man behind the scenes, igniting a tension that would linger in the air of Extreme Championship Wrestling. In May 1997, ECW invaded the World Wrestling Federation's Monday Night Raw, which angered commentator Jerry Lawler. Lawler showed up at an ECW event to get revenge. Surprisingly, he showed up with RVD and Sabu. RVD cut a promo saying he's too good for ECW, and deserved to be in the WWF or WCW, the Big Two. Jerry the King Lawler started to refer to Rob Van Dam as Mr. Monday Night, and Van Dam would take on the moniker, but change the day of the week to whatever day they were actually broadcast on. Van Dam's arrogance and perceived betrayal of ECW stirred controversy, but over time, fans couldn't ignore his athleticism and uniqueness. Despite the heel turn, Van Dam continued to team up with Sabu upon his return to ECW on June 13th. The dynamic shifted when Taz's manager Bill Alfonso betrayed Taz and joined forces with Sabu and Van Dam, setting the stage for new rivalries. But this rivalry wasn't with Taz. RVD found himself in a rivalry with Tommy Dreamer, an ECW original who wanted his revenge for Van Dam betraying ECW. On June 21st, Van Dam and Sabu earned a victory over Dreamer and the Sandman, but they weren't done there. They faced them again at Orgy of Violence, where they won again. Then, at Heatwave, RVD and Sabu teamed up with Jerry the King Lawler against Tommy Dreamer, Sandman, and Rick Rude. RVD then had to face Dreamer in a hardcore match at Born to be Wired, where RVD secured the victory with a leg drop onto Dreamer using a trash can. At Fright Night, RVD faced Dreamer again, but this time in a flag match, but he lost. So at Ultimate Jeopardy, he teamed up with Sabu once again to face Dreamer, this time with his new teammate Taz. Taz and Dreamer came out on top after Dreamer pinned RVD, but this rivalry was far from over. In November to Remember, the two teams faced each other again, but the bout ended in a no contest. They would rematch at Better Than Ever, and this time RVD pinned Dreamer to get the victory and finally settled the rivalry. But actually they would have one more encounter. On January 5th, 1998, Tommy Dreamer teamed up with Taz, Sandman and Al Snow to face RVD's team of Sabu, Doug Furnace and Phil Laffen, but unfortunately Van Dam's team lost the match. That was the end of that feud. However, Van Dam turned face and entered a rivalry with the stable Triple Threat, which consisted of Shane Douglas, Bam Bam Bigelow and Chris Candido. Van Dam was set to face Bam Bam Bigelow at House Party, where RVD went on to defeat him. Then, at Hostile City Showdown, Van Dam and Sabu defeated Axel Rotten and Balls Mahoney by disqualification, only to end up in a fatal four-way tag team elimination match, but they'd actually win this one. This meant that at Cyberslam, RVD and Sabu would face the ECW World Champ Shane Douglas and Bam Bam Bigelow, but they came up short in this one. RVD and Sabu would win some and lose some, but they were undoubtedly one of, if not the most entertaining tag teams in ECW. On the 4th of April, Van Dam got his shot for the World Television Championship against Bam Bam Bigelow. RVD came out on top and finally got his first taste of ECW gold. His popularity increased massively. On April 10th, he went on to defend the title for the first time against Doug Furnace. In a twist, RVD's partner Sabu wanted a piece of his gold and showed interest in RVD's championship. This took the two to WrestlePalooza, where they faced off for the championship in a hard-fought battle. But ultimately, the bout ended up in a time-limit draw, meaning RVD retained once again. At Matter of Respect, RVD and Sabu had to face each other in a tag team match, with RVD teaming up with one half of the tag team champs, Lance Storm, and Sabu teaming up with the other half, Chris Candido. The match took a turn when RVD and Sabu reconciled and took out the tag champs together, with the match ending in a no contest. This started a rivalry between the two tag teams in the next month. RVD and Sabu were set to face the tag champs on June 29th, and here, RVD and Sabu came out victorious, becoming the new tag champs, and this also made RVD a double champion. They'd have a good run as champions, but only up until October 24th, when they faced the Dudley Boys. It was a competitive match, but interference from Triple Threat ended up in the Dudley Boys snatching the title. RVD wanted revenge, so at November to Remember, Van Dam and Sabu teamed up with their old rival, Taz, to defeat Triple Threat. Then on December 13th, they tried to get their own backs on the Dudley Boys. They faced them in Japan at a ECW FMW Super Show, where they ultimately beat them and became tag champs for a second time. For the rest of 1998, RVD remained World Television Champ, with defences against Spike Dudley, Lance Storm at Guilty as Charged, and in early 99 with defences against Jerry Lynn at Crossing the Line 99, Balls Mahoney at Anarchy Rules, and Too Cold Scorpio at Cyberslam. RVD was then scheduled for a match on April 17th, but Sabu was suspended by ECW before the match, so RVD had to face Devon in a singles match. RVD lost the bout and had to give up the tag team championships to the Dudleys. After losing the tag belts, he decided to stay focused purely on the television championship. He started a feud with Jerry Lynn, where he faced him at Hardcore Heaven in a no time limit match, and he retained the championship. The match was so good that Paul Heyman aired it on an ECW TNN debut show instead of a shoot promo that he had planned. RVD had successfully defended the championship for the remainder of another year. At the start of the year 2000, RVD found himself in a rivalry with Rhino. He faced Rhino on January 7th and defeated him to defend the title once again. Then, Sabu wanted another shot at Van Dam's title, so for Sabu's last match before leaving, at Guilty as Charged, they'd have a match where Van Dam came out on top. ECW decided to schedule a champion versus champion match since RVD defended his title for so long. RVD would face Mike Awesome, the ECW World Heavyweight Champion, in a pay-per-view main event. This match could have potentially been the most profitable ECW pay-per-view ever, and Paul Heyman was kind of betting on this to do numbers, as the promotion was in dire need of the funds. Unfortunately, RVD broke his ankle in a match with Rhino, that he still won on January 29th, and because of this, the match didn't go ahead. Instead, the injury forced RVD to vacate the championship, and this ended his championship run. However, this run made him the longest reigning ECW World Television Champ ever. So is RVD one of the greatest to ever do it? One of the most underrated? Let us know what you think in the comments, and like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Click here for another, and if you want to support the channel even further, get exclusive benefits, and become a dog yourself, check out the links in the description. Nice one.